Welcome into the DNVR Rockies podcast brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Now when you use promo code DNVR, new customers can make any $5 NBA moneyline bet and get $200 in free bets if your team wins. That's with code DNVR only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. I am Patrick Lyons.
And I am a very happy Suzie Hunter.
Really? Do tell.
Well, maybe you know I'm from Philadelphia.
Go on.
So, the Philadelphia Phillies are going to the World Series.
What?
Every time a Philly team goes to a World Series or goes to a championship, good things happen to me.
No one gets their wings, but good things just happen to you.
Good things happen to me.
I like that. That's fantastic. Phillies going to the World Series. They'll play the Houston Astros. We'll talk about what went down this weekend in a pair of wild series that sets up for a wild World Series. And we've got all week to talk about it because game one is not until Friday because baseball.
I call this microdosing the offseason.
Yeah, a little bit.
For a couple of days.
We'll get into it eventually because we've got time. But I almost feel like this postseason has been a little underwhelming, to say the least.
It's been underwhelming?
Maybe the series have been shorter than normal. I mean, if you look at the league championship series, they were pretty much, slam dunks.
Yeah.
Padres Phillies were a little bit closer, and of course we'll get into that later in the show. But we didn't get that oomph from the LCS. If you hate the Yankees, you're probably very happy that they didn't just get dunked on. They got posterized. The backboard broke. It's in glass. It was also had 3D cameras, so we can relive it in the metaverse. However you want to look at it, great. But if you're just a baseball fan, I don't know. I think you might look at this postseason and say it's been a little bit underwhelming. So maybe it's a good thing that we have a little bit of a delay and we can reset just a little bit.
I mean, I disagree. I think it's been. I mean, aside from
there are moments.
There are. A team getting swept, not as exciting.
Sure.
Unless you're on the winning side of that sweep. I think it's been a very exciting series for sure.
Yeah. No, it still has been a good postseason, relatively speaking. We should say before we get into those series from the weekend, it is technically Happy World Series Day because 15 years ago today, the Colorado Rockies played in their first ever World Series.
Wow.
How about that? Boston, Fenway Park, historic Fenway Park. Rockies were there. 2007. Where has the time gone?
Where has the time gone? And it's so funny because this was brought up on the broadcast last night after Houston swept the Yankees. Very relevant.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Teams who went through the postseason undefeated. How did it fare for the Rockies? We know not very well, but it was interesting because when they played 15 years ago, it was the first World Series to start on a Wednesday since 1968.
Huh.
So they were clearly not planning out the World Series and the dates and the times like they do now, where they say, hey, we kind of know in June what the postseason schedule is going to be like, which I think makes some sense, but now is just one of those moments you go, oh, this would be a scenario in which maybe it's a little bit less than ideal because we've got to wait 4 days just to get to game one of the World Series now.
Is that going to do anyone any favors?
I don't know. Well, it's certainly balanced for both teams, right? We know that's the case.
At least that.
The Rockies were the third team back in the 2007 World Series to not commit an error in the World Series. So that's something. It's only the third time that had ever happened.
That's nice.
And first, if you want to relive it in your mind, we'll kind of go through it. Maybe we should spend more time on it. But I'll say this: we are spending more time on the 2007 Colorado Rockies World Series than the actual Colorado Rockies organization did this year. So I don't feel too bad running through this list and saying the first at bat was by Willie Tavares, the first DH. So really, when you think about all-time classic players, I think Ryan Maltoppi was the first DH in a game at Coors Field back in 2020, right? The pandemic season. But if you want to go iconic DHs, you got to go the guy that was the first ever DH in the World Series for the Rockies, Mr. Ryan Spilborghs.
Oh my God.
He's the iconic DH in my mind in a way, right? First hit was
OG DH.
He kind of is, right? DH Spilly. He's the guy. First hit was by Garrett Atkins, which was a double. He eventually scored the first run, first RBI. Troy Tulowitzki, a young rookie, Troy Tulowitzki. Hey, he's going to have a good career. He did. He did actually have a really good career. First walk was by Ryan Spilborghs. First pitch was, of course, thrown by the left-hander in a black vest, Jeff Francis.
Oh, black vest World Series. Like, what a lit time.
That was it. That was what really made it iconic. I think it had debuted in 2005, but it really wasn't until the run in October that became like their signature jersey. And first strikeout also by Jeff Francis. Got Jacoby Ellsbury looking. Good time.
What a time.
I think we've got plenty of time to kind of rehash the Gold Glove conversation. I know you talked about it a little bit on Friday with Brendan Rodgers and Ryan McMahon. Being a finalist, McMahon here for the second year in a row. And I kind of was a little bit surprised because I think they were like third and fourth on the depth chart. And you just never know. We kept talking about this idea that you almost have to make an impression first before people really take notice the second year. And then, okay, now we'll go ahead and nominate you. But I really think that the folks that vote on this award, we also know that SABR, the SABR Defensive Index, factors into all of this. And they do like what McMahon and Rodgers were able to do. But if you're looking at defensive run saves, according to the Fielding Bible, Brendan Rodgers was the best amongst all second basemen. So if you're just looking at that, that obviously could be something to suggest that maybe he, wins first Gold Glove for the Rockies since Nolan won it in 2020, and first second baseman to win it since DJ LeMahieu back, I think he was 2019. Him and Arenado won. And so that was the last time that two players from the Rockies ever won the Gold Glove. So they've got a chance. They're in it. Machado was the guy who got snubbed. It was not a great weekend for Padres fans, if you think about it.
Not a good weekend for Padres fans.
No, definitely not.
But they don't listen to this show, as we established.
No, turns out that's not what's in. It's not what's in.
That song, whatever you want to call it, like lives rent free in my head. Like it's just like.
Was that a take on anything? Because I wonder if Kale knows the way that those old men were doing. That's what's in. It made me feel like it was a West Side Story kind of homage. I don't know. Kale would know. He's laughing, but it's not a West Side Story.
I don't think it's a thing. I can't place if they're parodying something. I can't place what they're parodying.
That's not what's in. Sorry, Padres fans. Ryan McMahon has a decent chance to do some things. Outs above average, really likes him as well as defensive run saves. So, depending on the metric that you look at, both those guys are favoring really well. So, I think them just being honored as finalists is pretty nice.
It's an honor to be nominated.
It is, yeah.
That's what they say.
It legitimately is. All time. For anyone who's curious, Nolan Arenado, 8 Gold Gloves, including 4 Platinum Glove awards. DJ LeMahieu had 3. Cargo had 3. Todd Helton had 3. Troy Tulowitzki with 2. Larry Walker, of course, with 5. He won his first in 1997, first Rocky to ever win a Gold Glove. And Nafi Perez also in the year 2000. So he's the only one that had a singular glove. Everyone else, they had oven mitts, right? They could wear their Gold Gloves on. They oven mitted.
The golden oven mitt.
I think that's what you officially call it. If you win 2 or more, if you win your second Gold Glove, you've oven mitted. It's a baseball term.
It is. Yeah, I know it very well.
Snubs. I don't really think any of the Rockies got snubs. I do want to kind of shout out C.J. Cron, who was actually third amongst National League first basemen in defensive run saves with 5. He had a couple more than Rhys Hoskins, who was a Gold Glove finalist. So, all right, if you're just looking at that, maybe Cron deserved a spot. That's going to happen. Brian Serven was actually 7th in defensive run saves among NL catchers, which maybe was a little bit surprising there. Elias Diaz was amongst the worst in that metric.
In that metric. Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's crazy how little I think we've really scratched the surface with defensive metrics, at least public facing. Behind the scenes, what the Rockies analytics team or teams like the Dodgers, Yankees, they could have, they do have a lot more than what we have publicly facing. So that is what it is. But actually, I think the player that had the second most defensive run saves for the Rockies this past year was Sam Hilliard.
Sam Hilliard. We remember you fondly.
Yes. Yeah, he had 11 defensive run saves, which was second amongst all National League left fielders. So if you're just looking at that metric, he should have been nominated Granted, he did not play very much. He only played in
No.
like 70 games, but because he was like a late substitution, he got taken out early. He really only played 53 full 9-inning games, and so that's not a lot. But we are talking about an award in which Rafael Palmeiro did win the Gold Glove at first base when he was ultimately just a DH. He played 28 games at first base, and they gave him the award. So crazier things.
Who
have
else was
happened.
nominated with that year?
Well, I don't know that in what 99 they or 98 they didn't have finalists. I don't know what the first year was that they started.
Oh,
announcing.
so they just picked it.
Yeah. It was just here's the Gold Glove Award winner, and now you're right. Yeah, like everybody gets an award in a weird way, but it would be good to know like who came second, who came third. You know,
Like who else was in the running where they were like, yeah, you played 28 games.
No, exactly, because I think it might be like November 1st is when they announced the Gold Glove Award winners, and you know, granted there were not podcasts in 1998 at all, quite literally. But it's like, what fodder is there going to be for the final month of the season, or rather through the postseason, while you wait for them to make an announcement? You just speculate. But at least now you've got finalists. Now you've got something to discuss. There's something to put on the chyron. Baseball's being discussed a little bit more. Do you like the use of the word chyron?
I do. That brings me back to... I haven't heard the word chyron since my college TV station. They don't even use that in like actual TV stations now.
Well, you taught me step and repeat. Now, I had heard that term before, but I didn't know that the actual physical like backdrop that somebody that stands and repeats in front of was called a stand and repeat. I didn't know it was like a proper noun in that way. Yeah. So I did learn that. Mic flags.
Yeah.
Is another thing. I'll just throw it your way.
Yeah,
mic flags.
That's a word.
That's a thing.
That's a thing. Those are things.
Insider.
I want us to get mic flags for our mics.
Just be regular DNVR.
No, like for like our mics that we take out.
Could you get little miniature mic flags for the little tiny mics?
You can. None of my mini mics work. I bought like 4 mini mics.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Tiny microphones, and none of them work.
Bummer.
Yeah, I know. Super bummer.
Did you leave a review? You should have left a review.
I think it's not too late to leave a review.
Yes. If we could get a mic flag on a little mini one, it would really just have to be the caricatures that we have, our DNVR.
I'll get D-line on it.
Yeah. You just shrink it down really small, and then people would be able to identify
How cute.
the tiny mustache and then the blonde hair and your caricature. I think they would be able to identify that pretty well. You can identify a fantastic place to be right here on the corner of Colfax and York.
There we go.
At the DNVR bar. Look, this is where we're at. It's the site. It's the place to be. Even when there's not games, we love it. This is our home away from home, especially on game day whenever there's any watch parties going down. You get extra raffle tickets if you're a member to the DNVR.com. Now only 50 cents for your first month. And maybe best of all, you get 15% off your bill when you're down at the DNVR bar.
That's huge.
That's a lot.
That is huge. In this economy?
Yes.
Crazy.
That's a lot. Yeah, if you have a friend, you're like, hey, you know what? Just pick up the tip. Boom. Now you're just basically pocketing 15%. I don't know many people that think like that are maybe taking advantage of their friends. And
I don't take advantage of my friends.
Then again, if you are buying the meal, you are still paying more than your friend is for the tip. So you're still a good person.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
And you're a great person if you're a member to the DNVR.com, where, of course, you get a free shirt at the DNVRlocker.com. And like I said, extra raffle tickets. I think you can get price breaks if you're deciding to go over to London last minute. I don't know if there are any.
Are there any open spots left?
There could be for...
we don't know. I don't know.
They got a booze cruise going out there. I mean, they've got some amazing like collectible pins and all kinds of stuff. I can't wait for all the coverage coming over there from across the pond there for the London game this year.
Yeah. A shame for London that they have to watch the Broncos right now.
The excitement...
in this sad state.
Yeah, the excitement and enthusiasm is all pre-kickoff. And then after that, hey, whatever you get.
But it's going to be they're going to have such a fun trip to London. I'm extremely jealous. Kale, are you going? No, he's not.
He's not.
Kale, do you have a mic? No,
Kale's already been to Europe once this year, okay? So
that
you're
is
only
true.
allowed one European trip per year as per DNVR. So that's how that goes. And if you wait 2 years in a row, you can go to South America. So That's what we're hoping for. Venezuela.
DNVR Venezuela.
Read your contract. That's what it says. That's what we're going to do. Hey, NBA fans, the wait is over. Basketball's back. It's tip-off season. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, is letting new customers get in on the action where you can bet just $5 on any NBA money line, and you're going to get $200 in free bets if your team wins. In addition, check this out. Everyone can boost their winnings up to 100% with DraftKings stepped-up same-game parlays. That means it's doubled.
Ooh, that's
100. You almost should say it's doubled more than it's boosted 100%, because 100%.
People don't
you
always
think of the
know.
number one.
People don't always know what that means.
Right.
Not everyone's
Doubled.
doing math like that.
Doubled. X2 sounds better than 100%.
Times 2.
Definitely does. Go to DraftKings Sportsbook app, opt in, and place in a stepped-up same-game parlay today. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code DNVR. Make any $5 NBA moneyline bet this week. Get $200 in free bets if your team wins. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with promo code DNVR. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. My DraftKings Sportsbook pick of the week has to do with the World Series.
Uh-huh. Who you picking?
And
who you picking, Patrick?
I've been cold lately. I'll say that.
Okay.
So that one might make you feel better. I didn't pick the Phillies to win the World Series. I didn't pick the Astros.
I'm literally about to physically fight you right now.
I did not pick the Astros to win the World Series, but I do have, as the World Series MVP, Yordan Alvarez, plus 600. He is the favorite right now. So he has the highest odds, or rather the lowest odds. Mm-hmm. And so that's the smallest payout. It's still plus 600 for Yordan Alvarez.
I'm glad that like every single person we worked with walked in when I said that I was going to physically hurt you for your
Nobody
pick.
is from the HR department, so I think you are absolutely okay. You do not have to worry about that one bit. But didn't Corey Seager the other year, wasn't he the NLCS MVP and then World Series MVP? That was maybe like one of the only times that's ever happened. So that's kind of a rarity. So that takes Bryce Harper out of the running. So I'm going to go Alvarez. I've been a little ice cold lately.
Yeah.
So
well, I hope you stay ice cold.
I don't think has a losing player ever been the MVP in a World Series? No, can't be. I think there was one World Series MVP where it was a dual MVP, and there might have been one from the one. It might have been the 1960 World Series.
Way before my time.
Wasn't that Pirates Yankees?
It's before all of my parents were born.
That was 45 years before you were even born.
It's before my parents were born.
Do the math on that. 25 years before your parents were born. That's how that math works. Downgrading everybody. All right, let's get into these games here. I've never seen a team own the New York Yankees like the Houston Astros. I don't know that I've ever seen any team own another team. I mean, the Yankees obviously own the Boston Red Sox for quite a long time. The Minnesota Twins were always getting knocked out by the Yankees, but the Houston Astros they've just dominated. And as Pedro Martinez asked all of Yankees Nation and the Yankees organization themselves, New York Yankees, who's your daddy? Oh, because the answer is the Houston Astros.
Oof.
Is it not?
Yeah, very true. Extremely true.
4-game sweep by the Astros. The Yankees did not lead a game until the fourth game, early the first inning on Sunday's game. So the Yankees had beaten the Astros twice this year during their, I think, 7 games that they had played against each other. But those 2 came as walk-offs. So they had never led a full inning.
Oh.
So it was at the last second they won the game, but they were never leading until the game was over.
That is so weird.
That's how dominant the Astros had been.
The ownership of the Yankees.
Absolutely.
The absolute ownership.
For sure.
I kind of thought the Yankees, I was like, you know what, we're going to get a game 5. We're going to get a game 5. I kind of thought for a while we were going to get that.
Well, it probably would have been because of a Yankee win on Saturday. That was not the case. Houston won 5-0. Our guy, Chase Kane McCormick, went off with his two-run homer there in the second inning. Came at a very bad time because, of course, Harrison Bader had dropped a ball out in center field. The Gold Glover, the guy they brought in to really fortify the defense there in center field. Garrett Cole gestures him saying, "Hey, I got you, buddy." He didn't get him. McCormick hits that home run, and Altuve ended up doubling there. That was his first hit of the postseason. He was 0 for 25 going into Game 3. Is that insane or what?
Well, I guess he's warming up at the right time for them.
Maybe.
But yeah, that is kind of insane.
That's shocking. Yeah,
that is shocking.
Still at the top of the lineup there. It was the second longest hitting streak in postseason history. Longest was another Yankee, second baseman, coincidentally enough, Robinson Cano. The pitching was dominant. Going into this game, the Yankees had struck out 30 times between games 1 and game 2. And Javier, fantastic, didn't give up a hit until I think it was a double to Stanton in the 4th. 5 and third innings pitched, gave up 1 hit. No runs, walked 3, struck out 5. Bullpen, 3 1/3 scoreless innings and hitless innings until the 9th. Yankees got 2 hits there against Brian Abreu. But 11 more strikeouts in game 3. 43 times they struck out in the first 3 games. Wow. It was bad. People were leaving Yankee Stadium. It was very much a mass exodus. They tried to get the offense going by putting Stanton out in left field, just so they could get Matt Carpenter in the lineup as a DH. They're a team full of DHs.
Yeah.
So Stanton was out in left field. He hadn't played much, 30-some games, I think, out in left field this year. So they were desperate. But I think a lot of people were thinking along the same lines as you were, Susie, about, well, it's not going to be a sweep, especially because Garrett Cole is on the mound. Game 3, he's going to put the team on his back. He's going to be dominant. This is what he's getting paid for. And you could see, look at that body language right there.
That is the body language of a defeated man.
Yes.
Like, just his whole soul has been crushed.
Yeah, that was right after the McCormick home run. Just like, knowing full well that his offense couldn't get off the ground. I think they had only scored 2 runs between games 1 and games 2, or rather in game 1 and in game 2. So the offense was hurting. And this was like another one of those moments. There's never one moment. We'll talk about moments and his moment and being him in just a bit when we talk about Bryce Harper. But you get multiple bites at the apple when it comes to that. Mm-hmm. And I thought this was going to be that moment, the next moment for Garrett Cole. And it really wasn't. He gets yanked there in the 6th. And a lot of questions coming down on Aaron Boone as far as the choice he made. Bases were loaded. You either keep your guy in there, Garrett Cole, to get out of that spot, or you go to your bullpen. Is there anybody in any bullpen that you would have entrusted in that spot, or do you need to stick with your ace at that point?
I mean, that's always such a tough call too, because like on one hand, Garrett Cole is a very trustworthy ace.
He is.
He's absolutely, but sometimes you just don't have it anymore. Sometimes you just lose it. So it's hard to know.
Yeah, 6th inning, 2-0. You're down. Bases are loaded. You need some outs. And, Yankees have had a couple guys that have looked solid in the postseason. Wandy Peralta, Clay Holmes, Jonathan Loaizaga, a.k.a. Johnny Lasagna. But Aaron Boone goes to Lou Trevino, and doesn't work. They score a couple more runs, and that's it for Game 3. Game 4, potential final game at Yankee Stadium for Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
Tickets on sale for $18. Probably for game time. You probably got in game time. If you waited even longer to first pitch, it might have even been. I should have been checking last night to see. $7. I bet you game time had it for $7. Can't guarantee, but I bet you could have been at game 4 last night for Aaron Judge's final game, potential final game as a Yankee. Potential final game in Yankee Stadium for $7 thanks to game time.
Where do you think he's going to end up? Do you think he's going to stay with the Yankees? Do you think we're going to see him go elsewhere?
How about this? You take the Rockies, I'll take the other 29 teams. I'll give you 4.7 quadrillion to 1 odds. You taking that deal? I mean, wait, what would my payout be then? Not even a penny. I don't even think I would get a penny. You get some lint out of your pocket. Yeah, that's going to be fun to speculate all off season. I think the Yankees almost have to back up the Brinks truck.
Yeah.
You almost have to.
They got to get the wheelbarrow of money and roll it out to him.
That's it. You just have no choice.
Because that dude carried that team to the postseason.
He did. Yeah, no, he absolutely did. And you look at what the roster is in 2023 without Aaron Judge, and you have even more concerns than going into this season. There were enough with the starting rotation, but it becomes even more than that. Houston wins Game 4, 6-5. Yankees got that early lead with the RBI single from Stanton. They go up 3-0 eventually, but then Nestor Cortez gives up a 3-run home run to another young guy who's been doing it. Jeremy Pena Hey,
Jeremy Pena. I love this picture of him. Just
more great body language.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, we're not really worried about Carlos Correa going elsewhere. They had me all along.
Yeah, seriously.
Pretty much. Like that really underlines how, the Astros are playing chess. They're like, no, we don't need to re-sign a guy for $300 million, a young shortstop, because we've got someone to replace him. And yet here we were talking just 2 minutes ago about how the Yankees have no other option but to throw $300 million at a player. They are in that kind of desperation, whereas the Astros, sorry, goodbye Carlos Correa, goodbye George Springer, goodbye Garrett Cole.
What a flex.
That's where the Astros are at.
Astros.
Yeah, that's absolutely where they're at. Monty Peralta comes in after that. Houston ends up going up 4-3, and the Yankees,
the Rockies,
aka the East Coast Rockies, they don't have quite as many Rockies as before. I'll tell you what,
they used to have so many.
They had everybody.
They had all of our dudes.
Even in spring training, they're like, yeah, we'll let Chad Bettis come hang out in Tampa, Chris Iannetta. Why not? Let's have a blast. But I think the one West Coast Rocky that they were missing on the East Coast Rockies was DJ LeMahieu. He had a bit of a foot injury, so he just wasn't available. That lineup definitely misses versatility and his penchant for not striking out. Like that was definitely apparent. But Yankees show some signs of life. Bottom of the sixth, Harrison Bader homers to give the Yankees a 5-4 lead. This dude hit 5 home runs all season long. Granted, we know he was out because of, gosh, what was that debilitating injury that he had that maybe it's a miracle that he came back from?
Was it plantar fasciitis?
Oh, yeah, I guess it was. So he comes back from plantar fasciitis, 5 homers with the Cardinals, then he's out for a while. Doesn't hit one with the Yankees until the postseason. His 5th of the postseason with the Yankees, more than he hit during the regular season. So this guy is kind of a young legend here, an early legend.
What a miraculous recovery.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I hear he had proper footwear on at all times. At all times.
Chris Bryant's killing me.
Bader, only the 5th player in Yankees postseason history with 5 or more home runs. Very impressive. But then top of the 7th is when it falls apart. And Houston goes back ahead. Bregman gets the go-ahead RBI single to make it 6-5. And it's like, all right, the Astros, they find a way, and the Yankees can only come back from dead so many times.
Yeah.
That's how it ended, 6-5 after the Bregman go-ahead single. And the final out of the game, of course, fittingly, coincidentally, shockingly, I don't know, Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
And not a strikeout, which we would have understood.
Very anticlimactic.
Trickler, back to the mound, 1-3 put out. Bop, bop, ba, da, da, bop. Stop spreading the news. Or maybe you should start
spreading the news. They looked happy. It was so funny watching, their after the game interviews with Lauren Shahadi, but the stadium just sounded so empty.
Oh,
and
right?
of course it was like, why wouldn't it be? But just what a contrast from the celebration we saw earlier in the day with an absolutely packed and screaming at Citizens Bank Park. But yeah, this was a very quiet celebration in the Bronx.
Yeah, the Yankees are hurting. I mean, again, most franchises, certainly the one that we covered, would kill to have the success that the Yankees have had. 30 straight winning seasons since they won the World Series in 2009. 13 straight winning seasons, obviously. 9 postseasons, I want to say. And in that time, since 2009, they've gone to the ALCS 5 times, and they've lost all 5 times. That's never happened before. In baseball history. So
now when we look at the Yankees, like for us, like if the Rockies made it to the NLCS that many years, like that to me would probably feel like a success.
100%.
Is it a success for the Yankees or is it a failure?
It's a failure. That was one thing when growing up in New Jersey. Haven't mentioned that in a while. I'm from New Jersey. When I was a Yankee fan, that's what became gross about Yankee fandom, besides just certain behaviors that you see at Yankee Stadium and things of that nature, and the overall just aggressiveness of Yankees fans, was if you didn't win the World Series, it was a failure. You were expected to win. You were expected to sign all the top free agents, which they did, and they had to change their ways recently over the last decade, and so They've been a little bit easier to root for in a way. But if the expectations are just to win the World Series, like what fun is that? Like that's not fun at all. It's sad almost in a way. And so,
I
so
love
the Yankees need to go about their business in a different way.
I love this comment from Ethan. I'd take losing 5 years in a row right now.
Yes, I think we'd all sign up for being the Buffalo Bills of the National League. I'll be all for it. Let's go.
Anything is better than this.
Bud Black becomes the next Marv Levy. That's fine. I mean, Andre Reed, Thurman Thomas, Jim Kelly. I mean, who are those guys on the Rockies? Tolia, Tovar, Veen. Yeah, you would sign up for that because that is successful, obviously, for a small market team. So it's so interesting. There was Joel Sherman wrote an article that I want to talk so much about, where he just goes right in saying, look, the Astros own the Yankees. They are doing everything better than the Yankees right now. So the Yankees need to change how they go about doing their business. They can't just sit back and go, hey, we got to be better. Hey, guys just got to play better. Hey, we've got players in the minor leagues on their way up. We're going to be okay going forward. You need to make actual changes, and you need to start doing it immediately. And how much different that is than what goes on here in Denver when a season ends.
Night and day.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing how night and day that absolutely is. You're right. But whether or not you're going to a concert during the day or during the night, you can get your tickets from Game Time Tickets.
Oh, my goodness.
Help us out because they are helping us. Help yourself out. Along with the 15 million other folks who've downloaded the Game Time app. But use the link in our description to help us out in a major way. You can get last-minute tickets to all kinds of things. I was trying to help my cousin out because he was the Mets fan. So you want to talk about pain and strife.
Oh, that is real pain.
Not only did he have to deal with that and trying to, I guess, maybe get a piano teacher, right? Because he wants to learn how to play piano.
Oh.
Right? That was what he was dealing with immediately following the loss there to the Padres. But he was out in Las Vegas over the weekend for the When We Were Young festival.
Oh, no.
And yes, Saturday,
that didn't pan out.
His concert got canceled. So he's not really having a good go of it right now.
His postseason got canceled. His concert got canceled.
Poor guy. But
was he able to find something new to go to via Game Time?
Exactly.
Is that
right.
where we're going with this?
I told him, I said, use the link in our description. He did. He looked, he found, he was like, actually, he ended up paying less for the Sunday package, even when people were scrambling, than he did for Saturday. Even though everyone was bummed out and like, I got to get some kind of concert in. And some people were charging astronomical prices on like Craigslist and all that kind of stuff. He was taken care of really well, him and his buddies, with the Game Time Tickets app. So you can always save up to about 60% when you wait close to first pitch, tip off, or the first strum, which was the case at the When We Were Young. The first plink.
Bing.
Yes. Look, I had some amazing beef yesterday. I know
You
super
had
producer
beef?
Kale did. I'm a beef guy.
You had beef?
I'm not a beefy boy per se, but I'm a beef guy.
I didn't know you had beef.
I consume beef. I consume American Wagyu, the blue-collar American Wagyu, Hassel Cattle Company. I know super producer Kale did at the tailgate because we've got that there. And it's perfect for folks who kind of fancy themselves as at-home chefs, and they like that kind of cuisine. And it's not going to kill your budget either, which is probably the most important thing. It's the choice of home cooks, as well as restaurant chefs alike. If you want to get in on the action, go to HassellCattleCompany.com, HASSELL, cattlecompany.com to secure your bag of beef. They ship anywhere. They ship immediately, too, which is fantastic. Make sure you use code DNVR20 for 20% off your entire purchase. That's DNVR20 for 20% off. Not really much to say about Phillies and Padres. Phillies win, and they're going to the World Series. I think that's all I got. We're ready to wrap up the show just a little bit.
So fast, Patrick.
What did I miss? I covered it.
Oh, my God.
They won in 5 games. Sorry.
They won in 5 games. The Phillies also undefeated at home this postseason.
Oh, not bad for those Road Warriors.
Not bad.
They finished up their season 22 of 24 days, I think, were on the road. They had 10 games on the road. So they went on the road at the same time the Rockies did.
It was 9 days on the road, 10 games, because they had a doubleheader in there.
Yes, that's right, against the Nationals. They had 2 doubleheaders. The first doubleheader got rained out, and so they got it pushed back. So on the schedule, it shows like 2 doubleheaders, but they only played 3 games, as you point out. Yeah, so they had 10 games, so they had it even worse. Do you know where they finished up their season, too, by the way?
Somewhere random, right?
Houston.
Right.
Not
so random now.
This could be, yes, I got to look it up. We got to maybe contact Sarah Langs because I know she'll know. We've got a whole week of the craziest Patty stats and Sarah Lang stats to come up with and try to figure out, is this like the closest two teams have played in the regular season to the World Series? Again, we can only go back to interleague play. So this, yes, I'm going to say yes. I don't think any team ever finished a season against each other and then played in the World Series. That has to be a first.
Let's ask her right now.
You work on that. We'll recap games 3, 4, and 5, all in Philadelphia. Joe Musgrove against Ranger Suarez. Ranger Suarez looked really solid. 5 innings pitched, 2 hits, 2 runs. Only 1 was earned. Yeah, he did not walk a batter. Struck out 3. He wasn't done yet in the series, even though he threw 5 in game 3. It all started for the Phillies with that leadoff homer by Kyle Schwarber. Goes down on bended knee, almost like Boys to Men, a Philly group.
Nice Philly
You got to
reference.
really like that.
A nice Philly reference.
Only Jimmy Rollins has ever hit a leadoff home run for the Phillies. He did 3 times. But Kyle Schwarber and Jimmy Rollins, that's probably the only thing those two guys have in common. A guy who's a beefy DH, outfielder, catcher. Jimmy Rollins, fit, smaller guy, shortstop. Different.
Different vibes, same results.
Bryson Stott, the rookie, with 2 doubles. First for a Phillies rookie to have 2 extra base hits in the same game. We're going to be talking about Bryson Stott on Wednesday with Justin Wick of Purple Row.
Ooh.
He and I saw Bryson Stott last year in the Arizona Fall League. There's a couple guys. This World Series is actually a matchup of players who were in the Arizona Fall League. Minor leaguers last year, they go to the finishing school that is the Arizona Fall League, and now they're in prime positions as the starting shortstops for both teams in the World Series. That's rare, but it also shows you how important the results and what goes on, the players that are there in the Arizona Fall League, where our guy Zach Veen is at right now.
I was going to say, is this more of a testament to what the Arizona Fall League has to offer these players, or is this a testament of the talent coming through these systems right now?
Little bit of both, but I think it's more about the Arizona Fall League. It's really more about that because we'll get into the numbers on how many big leaguers made their debut this year. There's only 6 teams in the Arizona Fall League. So when I tell you 57 of them made their major league debut this year, that kind of lets you know what we're dealing with. So we'll talk a little bit more about Stott and Veen, Braxton Fulford, Warming Bernabel, Grant Levine, all those guys on Wednesday's show. But Sir Anthony Dominguez gets a 6-out save, 3 punchies. And then game 4, that was the wild one.
Insane.
That was the wild one.
That one I was very stressed at first, and then and then I wasn't.
10-6. Phillies win. Both starters knocked out in the first inning. Only the second time in postseason history that had ever happened. And the first time and only time up to that point was a World Series Game 4, 1932. Wow. Yes, 1932 Game 4 of the World Series.
So only 90 years ago.
Only.
That's
it. Look at that quick math. Impressive. I like that.
Thank you. I don't expect any more math from me today. I've reached my quota.
Mike Clevenger, after the game, said, "This is probably one of the worst days of my life," but that sums it up. Yeah, it sucks. He actually looked better than that quote was. Where you're like, yeah, he tried to put on like a smiley face, but it was really bad.
Listen, leave it to a Sagittarius to tell you exactly what they're thinking. No sugarcoating whatsoever. Yeah, and he felt good up until the time he got to the mound because the Padres staked him to a 4-0 lead. They came against Bailey Falter, who did exactly that. He faltered. Good. He lived up to the name.
He did. Yeah, right. He actually did. Manny Machado hit a solo home run. Made me feel good about my home run derby squad. Solo homer there for Machado, his 4th of the postseason, tied him for most in San Diego history. But as you know, Suzie, and as you live in your life, Philly didn't care.
No, Philly never cares.
They didn't care. They respond in the bottom of the first. Hoskins with a 2-run double. Harper RBI double. Philly ties it in the 4th with an RBI single for Bryson Stott. San Diego goes up 6-4 in the top of the 5th thanks to Juan Soto's first postseason home run for San Diego.
Took him long enough.
Well, that's why I had to draft because I'm like, he's due.
He's due.
He's overdue. And so he got on the board there, which was good. But then Philly immediately ties it and goes ahead in the bottom of the 5th. Hoskins, 2-run home run, his second of the game. Look at the celebration. Look at the look on Harper's face. He's so happy. He doesn't care. Oh, do I get a moment? Is Rice stealing my spotlight? Because I really thought that. I said Rice.
I'm like, who?
I really thought that Reese, up to that point, probably was the NLCS MVP. But Harper doesn't. He doesn't care about those awards. He only wants one thing.
He wants
a
to
ring.
win.
The one thing
blood
is the bling,
and to win.
And it's the ring. Bryce Harper. That's all he wanted.
I definitely could have seen Hoskins getting the MVP of this series.
Yeah,
but
up at that point. Sixth player in Philly history with a multi-homer game in the postseason. Dykstra, Pat Burrell, Pat the Bat. You a big Pat the Bat fan?
Of course.
Okay. Chase Utley, who did it twice in 2009. Jason Worth also did it twice. But yeah, go ahead and show that photo again, Kale, of Harper's RBI double.
Yes.
Puts him ahead 7-6. This is my
effing house.
What kind of house? Oh, effing house.
My effing house. You could see it so clearly. Didn't need a pro lip reader to see that one.
You did not. No. 10 extra base hits for Harper. Ties for most in a single postseason. His numbers in the NLCS were almost identical to the division series. He had 400 here in the NLCS versus 500 in the division series. 2 home runs, 5 RBIs. So he repeat performance, which I didn't think was possible. You had a solo home run for Schwarber there again. Castellanos finally kind of getting off the ground a little bit. He's been really quiet. Then just when I'm beginning to feel pretty good about my home run derby squad, JT Realmuto homers, his first and only of the postseason, but that gave the Phils 4 home runs in that game, tied a club record for most in a postseason, which they did in 08 and 09.
Good vibes.
And then it was down to Game 5 on Sunday. Phillies win 4-3. Zach Wheeler is that dude.
Zach Wheeler is always that dude. He is always the dude you want in this situation. And he will give you so many innings. That's the thing. He's so good at that.
Great point. Huge innings eater. I talked about that with Kenneth last week about this idea that when we go back and look, there's a good chance we're going to want to redo the voting in the 2021 Cy Young Award because, as great as Corbin Burns was and as better as he was then, Wheeler on a inning-to-inning basis, Wheeler pitched so much more. Saved Philly's bullpen so much more last year. And he was dominant again when the bullpen obviously had been pitching the last 2 days. Gives them a little bit of a break. He works into the 7th inning, only gives up 3 hits. 2 runs, no walks, 8 strikeouts.
Fire.
8.
Straight fire.
This postseason in 4 starts, 25 1/3 innings pitched, 5 earned runs, 3 walks, 25 Ks, 1.78 ERA. Legendary right now.
Almost presidential.
Quite presidential.
He has a presidential name.
He does. Zachary Harrison Wheeler.
That is so presidential.
Very presidential.
Zach Wheeler for president.
I'm for it. I mean, he definitely could. He's going to win Pennsylvania by a landslide. We know that's a purple state. That's one that's up for grabs.
Speaking of elections, did you see how Philly fans came together on Twitter to absolutely wreck Dr. Oz?
No.
Because Dr. Oz is running for Senate in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
It's a whole thing.
Yep.
So I keep seeing all these commercials too because I still get Philly channels out here, which is good for this time of year. But Dr. Oz posted a congratulations to the Phillies post.
Oh, no.
And every single comment is just F you, F yourself, F you, you're the worst. You have no right.
No thanks.
No thank you.
Yeah. I could see that.
Yeah, Philly, the city of brotherly F yourself.
I like that.
Yeah. I think it's very fitting.
That is very
Speaking of
fitting.
elections.
Dr. Mehmet Oz. Do we know if he's officially a doctor? Is he a doctor like the way Dr. Phil is a doctor?
I feel like he's a doctor the way Dr. Phil is a doctor. But I don't know, so don't sue me, Dr. Oz.
Yeah.
Doctor.
Quote unquote. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
What wasn't alleged was another home run from Reese Hoskins. Again, a 2-run homer there in the bottom of the 3rd. 3-0 pitch. Obviously, he gets the green light. It wasn't center cut. It wasn't completely down the center. Baseball folks know. It wasn't down the direct center. but it was close enough. Boom. He goes deep. 4th NLCS homer of the series. Ties Lenny Dykstra for most in a series back in 1993. Do we know if he officially admitted to doing steroids that entire season or allegedly? I think he allegedly
I don't know.
is proud of it.
Lenny Dykstra retweeted me yesterday, too.
Susie, you know what? We should get to this. When is Lenny going to be on the pod?
You know what? If I go out to Philly, we'll see what happens.
We got to get him first on Zoom, on StreamYard, then in person. No, you don't want to meet him in person, Susie. I don't want that for you. I can't co-sign that. I actually need to put my foot down here and say
no.
I do not want you to meet Lenny.
No.
It's more that I don't want Lenny to meet you. You know what I'm saying?
What if we have chaperones?
I don't trust it. He could be a mole for the Dykstra Corp. I don't know if I would need to vet the person. I've been watching a lot of Peaky Blinders, so I think I got all that going on in my head.
I was trying to explain Lenny Dykstra to my roommate yesterday, who was like not familiar.
That's worth a segment.
Yeah,
that's very much worth a
funny.
segment. Lenny friggin' Dykstra, unbelievable. So third player to have 4 more homers. Utley in that 2009 World Series did it. But yeah, what's interesting about Rhys Hoskins is the first 4 games, which the first 2 were in St. Louis, and then the first 2 games of the next round, the division series, were in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. He was 1 for like 17. Not good. Had 1 extra base hit, I think. Didn't have a homer. He was awful. And then since then, 25 plate appearances, 5 homers, 880 slugs, 7 hits. Just absolutely dominant.
Heating up at the right time.
Yeah, it was as soon as they got back home after being on the road for so long. Soto also had a solo home run in Sunday's game. His 7th career postseason home run. First 5, of course, were with the Nationals when they went on the run in 2019 to win the World Series. Only he and Carlos Correa have ever hit 7 homers before age 24.
Child wonders.
Yeah, amazing.
Little prodigies.
Padres did tie it up in the top of the 7th before the iconic home run. Bottom of the 8th, Bryce Harper. 2-run home run. Absolutely phenomenal. Just
the swing of his life.
And just
I love Joe Davis on broadcast.
That was a great call.
The swing of his life, because it absolutely was.
A guy who's been in the spotlight since he was 16 years old. He has the opportunity. He did it on Saturday night, does it again on Sunday. Yeah, I love that call. It's actually the first go-ahead home run in the 8th or later in a postseason game for the Phillies while trailing. A lot of qualifiers there, but nevertheless, big moment. And then afterwards, I don't know if you saw a clip that was very funny. There he is. Just look at that. He owns the city right now.
Yes,
Bryce Harper.
He is.
After he hit that home run. Amazing.
Philly loves them some Bryce Harper.
Iconic moment, iconic image right there. Again, make sure you're watching along with us on the DNVR Sports channel on YouTube. But in the dugout, Ken Rosenthal is waiting for a moment. Maybe see if you can pull him aside. Watching.
I love that we're doing in-game interviews after these home runs, like right after they happen.
Yeah. Well, Ken Rosenthal talked about that a little bit. I think on maybe last Monday, and like they don't do if there's 2 outs because there's not enough time and don't want to get involved. But like to your point, Rosenthal didn't like jump in right away. He's like, let Harper kind of unpack.
You got to feel it out. You got to read the room.
So he was waiting. So Rosenthal was definitely waiting, and he just had this smile of like, oh my God, can you believe it? And then in the foreground, Bryce Harper's going, oh my gosh, I just did that. it's like. Okay, baseball. And we got to wait 4 friggin' days. Machado was quiet in Game 5, 0 for 4, 2 strikeouts. I don't know if he was hurt. He did make that amazing catch on the tarp there in Game 4. That was a great play.
Fans were losing it, too. I'm like, if you never want to see a visiting player kind of catch something into the stands like that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a net there, but still.
I really think that the commissioner made a big deal about putting these nets up to protect fans from foul balls, allegedly. Because of this moment. They're like, you know what? We need to put something in between Phillies fans and the field just in case.
Just in case. They drink a lot of Yingling down there.
They do. Yins want some Yingling? I know, that's Pittsburgh. Ranger Suarez gets the save there. After starting Game 5, after starting Game 3, he finishes Game 5. And MVP. Did you have a problem with that? I mean, did you think it should have been Hoskins because he had 4?
I think it could have gone to Hoskins, but I
could've.
had no issue with it going to Harper.
No, I don't either. First time for him. We talked about it plenty with Nolan Arenado about his postseason foibles. This is actually the first time he had ever won a postseason series.
Yeah.
He went to postseason 4 times with the Nats, but this was his first win.
I just remember those memes before the Nationals had never, before their World Series season. It was always, the Nationals have never won a postseason series. And then, of course, that carried on with Bryce Harper because he hadn't.
Yeah.
And now he has. He won a bunch.
And then after he signs his big deal with the Phillies, there's a player survey, and he's voted the most overrated player. And then his team wins the World Series that year, giving credence to that to a degree.
You know, that was a rough narrative. That was a rough narrative.
It was. But, hey, he's doing all right. He's got himself an MVP award.
Do I get
NLCS MVP award?
Do I get an MVP award for winning the home run derby?
I got to check the math here. I don't know. We might need... there's a couple hanging chads. Let's see what happens on that. All right, we'll recap that. It was back and forth. It was very much back and forth. Now, Patrick's powder kegs. That's what we're going with.
Okay.
Although Kyle Schwarber is the powder keg. That's his new official nickname. I got 2 home runs from Harper and Machado and Juan Soto. Feeling good about that. Nothing from Alec Bohm.
Alec Bohm.
Him too. I didn't get anything from either of those guys that love Philadelphia. Whereas, so that's 6 for my guys. You had Schwarber with the first pick, which you had 3. That gave you an advantage. Mm-hmm. But with your 4th pick, after I already went twice, you went Rhys Hoskins, and that was the difference. He hit 4, Realmuto hit 1. Nothing from Cronenberg. So you had 8. I had 6. Suzie, you win.
I won.
You win.
Good for me. Let's end on that note.
And we did good overall. Only 8 players homer. We had 6 of those guys.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
We're very good at our jobs.
I think so.
We're so good at talking about baseball in hypothetical situations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're very good at that.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to do that again all this week.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have Justin Wick again on Wednesday. Thursday, we'll preview the World Series coming up there. I know you're going to have a banger there on Friday. And
we're
going to run it back on Tuesday.
My Friday afternoon club shows.
It's going to be
They're
good.
always lit.
Yeah. Sam Levitt did a great job last Friday. Make sure you go and check that out. Still relevant to understand what the vibe was like in San Diego. They're knocked out. They're a little bit heartbroken. Mm-hmm. Too bad, so sad. I'll say this. This played out exactly as I think every Rockies fan was hoping. And that was kind of the reason why I almost preferred the Dodgers to have beaten the Padres. Because, again, the Padres get knocked out early, relatively speaking, or by the Dodgers. You know, maybe they got to reshuffle the cards just a little bit. They feel more like failures, and they can't build any momentum or steam, because if they do, you're going to have 2 juggernauts. But the perfect scenario played out. Padres took down the Dragon up north and the Dodgers, and then the Phillies laid the smackdown on them right away. Because as we learned, San Diego Padres are not what's in.
No, that's not what's in.
Not what's in.
Not what's in. Goose on the loose. Meh, meh, meh. I don't know.
Hoskins and Schwarber, Realmuto and Harper. That's what's in.
Yeah.
Seriously,
I can't condone this. You're going to bring bad vibes to
these TikToks
my
write
team.
themselves.
You're bringing bad vibes onto
what
my
rhymes
family.
with fanatic? We'll figure that out. We'll workshop.
Shut
Susie's
it down.
That's what's in
Shut
version.
it down.
No, you're not going to do your own take?
No, obviously.
Weird Al version for Philly?
It cursed the Padres. That will stick with them forever.
Yeah.
Absolutely not will I be making a parody of it.
We
No
need,
freaking way.
we need to do a full draft of first pitches in Philadelphia, national anthems. I mean, Darryl Hall. You got to get Darryl Hall.
Okay, hold on. I know we're trying to wrap up the show, but Taylor Swift sang the national anthem Game 3 of the 2008 World Series. And what happened in that World Series? Oh, the Phillies won.
Did they win Game 3 though? Did they? I don't know.
I actually don't know.
Ah,
I don't care.
they did win the World Series.
They won the World Series.
Despite the fact, potential bad luck. We don't know.
She was good luck for overall.
Okay. Could be. Yes. I don't know if we'll see her out, but maybe. They like to run a lot of country artists.
They got a book her.
Does anybody listen to country music in Philadelphia? Like,
No.
Clearly no, right? Okay.
Anyway,
Yes.
let's get out of here.
Meek Mill Can he do the national anthem?
Yes, he can.
He can? You know that for sure?
Of course, and Meek Mill can do anything.
All right. Is he still with Nicki Minaj?
No.
Okay.
No, she's
All right.
No. She married someone else, and he's very problematic is an understatement.
We've got plenty of time to break all that down. And we're going to be doing that on Twitter as well. Make sure you're hitting us up at DNVR_Rockies. At Patrick D. Lyons is where I'm at.
And you can find me at the Suzie Hunter on all platforms.
This has been great.
So great.
And I think we should probably do it again tomorrow. But you know what they say about momentum?
What do they
It's
say?
only as good as your next show. So, yeah, we'll do it again tomorrow at 11 a.m.